Hello, this is Kenny Williamson, and welcome back to another episode of Melchizedek Chronicles. It's a whole nother day. We got another podcast going on, so welcome back to the show. We're trying out a few things different these days, trying out some different things on the show to kind of spice it up a little bit, make it look a little more like something in 2025 going on in 2026 instead of something from the 80s. Of course, you know, I'm from like the 80s, so what do you expect, you know? So, anyway, so I've got a few little things I'm testing here to see if it works, to test out the little backgrounds and all that. But anyway, so it's been a few days since I've been on, but I wanted to come on here and talk briefly about something that I had found. I talk about this stuff all the time, but this is let me just show you a picture here of it. Let's see if it'll pop up here. So I found this posted on X. This is a woman minister. Okay. So first red flag right there. Shouldn't be. Says she's an ordained Presbyterian minister. So, you know, I've seen these Presbyterian churches before, but this is one of my problems with these Presbyterians and all the others, you know, is this is the kind of stuff they allow in their church buildings, okay? So, right here, she says, abortion is a moral good. Abortion is an act of love. Abortion is an act of grace. And finally, abortion is a blessing, says Rebecca T. Peters, ordained Presbyterian minister. And they have a picture of her, you know, and she's got her little collar on, but she's also got a scarf on that says Planned Parenthood. Okay. So, yeah. So that's where we're at today. Okay. The first problem is women shouldn't be ministers. Okay, that's biblical. But what we have today is we have lots of women that all of a sudden have churches and are all doing this stuff, anti-biblical. So can anything good come from it at all? I don't know. You know, I wouldn't listen to one. But, you know, there are people that I've talked to, they listen to women preachers and they're like, oh, that was pretty good. Well, you know, I'm sure there's lots of, you know, sounding good, tickling your ears type things, all kinds of them out there. That doesn't mean, you know, it's okayed by God, in other words, right? So, you know, women shouldn't be ministers, and we've got scripture to prove it. Here, let me look it up here real quick. Okay, we have it here. The first example, this is a pretty good example, really, is 1 Timothy 2:11-14. Of course, this is in your King James Bible. Let the woman learn in silence with all subjection. But I suffer not a woman to teach, nor usurp authority over the man, but to be in silence. For Adam was first formed, then Eve, and Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived was in the transgression. So what that boils down to is in the Garden of Eden, Adam wasn't fooled. Eve was. The serpent basically knew that he could trick the woman, and he did. And probably through feelings, you know, the way he worded it and everything, got her thinking and feeling, and so she disobeyed. So she is in the transgression, okay? And, I mean, that's not a sexist thing, I guess. I mean, in today's type environment we live in, you know, people are going to say, oh, women are equal to men, you know, that whole thing. But biblically, women are not supposed to be, you know, having any authority over men in a church setting. This is what this is, okay? This is not That's what this is talking about. This is not talking about at work or anything else. This is talking about, has to do with God. You're not supposed to be over men, whatever. So, and this is why. Okay, just like this woman that I just showed you here. She's dressed up, and she's dressed up in a Catholic-looking thing. So she's dressed up like a clown. She is a clown. And she's, her motto is, go get an abortion. It's love. The Bible teaches that killing a baby is murder. So is this another example of why you shouldn't be letting a woman have authority over a man? That's exactly why, right there. See, she's all into it. She's going to say, "Oh, my body, my choice." You wouldn't know. You're not a woman. Hey, murder's murder. Okay, so if you want to murder a baby in the womb, or if you want to murder a baby as soon as it comes out of the womb, and you try to claim that's love and that's grace and that's this, you're a devil. You're a liar and a devil. So what she's doing is she's parading around in a church, a Presbyterian church, and people are letting her. And I'm sure there are people, the picture, there's people all around her smiling with the big smiles on her face. Oh, yeah. There's a lot to smile about. Hey, you can do anything you want apparently over there. Let me guess. Do as thou wilt is probably right across the top of the church, right? So do whatever you want. Kill your baby. Be a lesbian. Be gay. Be a trans. Hey, if you're transvestite, a man, dress up like a woman, nastily, of course. And it's not that like they even do it good. They always do it where it looks like something straight out of the pits of hell. And go right up there and tell everybody how wonderful it is. So what is that? Well, that's why the Bible says don't allow it. Okay? Because this is what you get. You get women who are completely, totally deceived in their teaching lies. Okay? So, they're not going to be able to use a King James Bible in a church like that because it's going to call you out. So they're going to, guaranteed they don't have a Bible like that anywhere laying around. So this is another example of the lunatics we have running around here, which usually are left leaning. We have a lot of right leaning lunatics too, but majority of the lunatics running around are lefties. And this is the kind of stuff they do. They dress up and they want men going in little girls' bathrooms, and they want to dress up like cats and dogs, and run around here half dressed like a Catholic priest with a pink scarf on that says Planned Parenthood, and telling people how they should kill babies. So they're not worshiping the God of the Bible. Obviously, they're worshiping Baal. They're worshiping the devil, which, that's getting pretty common around here these days by the sounds of it. So obviously, I'm against abortion. Now, you're going to hear somebody say, "Oh, well," of course, everything you hear from the lefties especially are liars. That's all they do is lie. They're devils and liars. And so what you're going to hear is they're going to say, "Oh, well, if somebody was brutally raped and blah, 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 and yada, yada, and it's going to kill them," that's the excuse they use. And it's like, well, what percentage of that is abortions today? Less than 1%? Less than 0.001? So they use that as an excuse, but that's not why anybody's getting an abortion. They're getting an abortions. You can see them. They're all over the internet. They paint it on themselves. They say, "I've had 15 abortions and I want more." So what they do is they purposely go out and have intercourse with as many people as they can find, and they keep getting pregnant. So they keep having abortions. Now, obviously, wherever they're at, I'm sure it's our taxpayer dollars that are paying for it. Because if they had to shell out the money, they'd probably do something preventative, you would think. No, we're not going to do that. We'll just keep getting pregnant and keep killing the babies. Hey, more power to you. More power to you. I've got a news flash for you, though, if that's what you're doing. If you're partaking in that kind of stuff, you're going to be in hell real soon. Okay? And you deserve it. You deserve to burn in hell for exactly what you're doing. And these doctors that are doing it, guilty, guilty, guilty. Oh, you're going to hell in a handbasket. Okay? I can't wait. You deserve it. Since you don't want to change, okay, and you don't want to get saved, and you want to murder innocent babies and butcher people, butcher children, there's a special place waiting for you, boy. Okay? And, oh, well, you deserve it. I mean, you're asking for it. I mean, you're not asking for it, you're begging for it at this point. And you're going to get it. You're going to get exactly what you deserve. And that's the satisfying part about the whole thing. I mean, I was looking at some pictures. They come up on X all the time. You've got these transgender doctors. And, of course, these things are, pictures of these people. And it shows you it shows them what you look like before. So in one, there's a lady. I'm assuming they're 18. I don't know how old they are or above. They don't show you much. It's blurred out. But it's a girl, normal looking. And then you see all the drawing marks all over them. And they literally go in there and, they remove the uterus. They remove all the sexual organs. They take on the legs and the thighs and the stomach, and they strip all the skin completely off. Filleted completely off. And then they shape it in the form of a male appendage, and it looks like, you can imagine, it doesn't look like a real one. Okay, it looks something you'd see in a Frankenstein movie. Okay? They literally cut everything out and then try to build everything back, like in this case, from a girl to a boy. And it doesn't look like anything like a real boy. Okay? And nothing is going to work like it's supposed to. It doesn't look like it's supposed to. It's disgusting. I mean, it's total, literally, Frankenstein's monster is what you're looking at. That's what you're looking at. And I saw the same one. They took, they've got these girls, okay? And most of these are girls. It's like 99% of all these surgeries, they're putting on little girls. Again, that's because women are easily persuaded by their emotions. They're tricked. So these little girls, they like little boys, or they're like a tomboy, if you will, okay? And so instead of somebody saying, look, if you want to wear pants or whatever and have your hair back or a little shorter, that's fine, go ahead. If you want to do some of the things guys are doing, go ahead. And a lot of them grow out of it. Or, some women just do a lot of things that men do. But instead of just letting it play out, like they did when I was a kid, there was no such thing as that back then. Oh, there was tomboys, and some of them grew out of it and some didn't, but they were still just regular women. Instead of allowing this to play out naturally, like God would have it to be done, now what they do is these lunatic left and these sick perverts and these pedophiles, they talk these little kids and little girls. They try to trick them, and they say, well, honey, you like baseball and you like this and you like Tonka trucks because you're really a boy. So don't worry, we're going to fix that for you. And they drug them up, put them under, and start butchering them. That's what they do. And I've seen the pictures. It's unbelievable. And some of the ones I've seen, they hadn't done the bottom yet, but they'd already done the top. And these girls, they think they're proud of it, but they're not for long. And what they've done is the first step is they've got breasts, of course. These are young girls, and they go and they cut them off. And I'm going to tell you, I would show you the pictures, but they're horrible. Okay? They're absolutely horrible. But these pictures, well, I don't even know what to say. The doctor that did the work needs to be drug out into the street and taken care of. And they'll get theirs eventually. I mean, I'm not saying to go do that, but they're going to get theirs real soon. And I don't know what depth of hell they deserve, but it's deep. And apparently these doctors today, if you see the scars on these girls, I don't know. They literally look worse than Frankenstein's monster. Okay? That's how bad they look. It looks like a blind man went in there with a chainsaw. And I'm not even kidding. I'm not kidding one bit. I was looking at these pictures, okay? And across the chest right here, just right across your chest, you know, women obviously have two breasts. You'd think, okay, they remove the breasts, so on each side we might have a 4 or 6 inch line where they removed it, right? Oh no. We're talking from armpit to armpit, a scar an inch thick, jagged. It goes up and down and all around. It looks like somebody tried to cut the mouth on a jack-o'-lantern across these girls' chest. And the scars are like an inch thick, and they go up and down. Jagged. And it's like, and these girls are like smiling, and you can tell they're out of it. And it shows them, you know, after a few months later, and this big, nasty, huge scar. In the beginning, it's all stitched up. Literally looks like a corpse that's had some kind of an operation done. It is an operation, but we're talking like an autopsy. It looks like a corpse that's been split from side to side and had an autopsy done, and then huge stitches put back in just, to cover it up, to throw it in the casket. Cover it up. That's what it looks like. Jagged, like up, down, left, right. Whoever done this, they didn't just make a couple of small incisions. Oh, no. They cut the whole entire thing open, and when they put it back together, it looks like the Grand Canyon. It's horrible. And these people, and of course, the actual, everything is gone. There's nothing there anymore, just a giant scar. It looks so disgusting. I mean, the words can't even describe how bad it looks. And so now this girl, has all that cut off, and you ain't getting it back. And so then, they think they're a boy there for a little while. They go on for a couple of years and then realize they're a girl. And, then they look in the mirror and they see the body of Frankenstein. And so guess what they do? Well, they get depressed and go kill themselves. So tons of these, surgery kids, trannies, if you will, that they have got butchered, that, they get depressed because then they don't fit in. They realize that they're a female later on, but their breasts are gone. Their chest is completely carved up. It looks like, horrible. And then if they haven't figured it out yet, before they go a little further, then they get the bottom part cut off. and then you're completely ruined. I'm talking appendages hanging off that don't work. There's probably no feeling. From what I read, no feeling. I mean, it's just disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. And these are doctors. These are licensed doctors right here in the USA. Now, if I was to do that to somebody, I would go to prison for butchery. Okay, they would say, "Oh, what are you, the butcher of Arkansas?" That's probably what they'd call me. These people have literally been butchered. It's like whoever did the cutting, they must have used a hacksaw, a skill saw, a reciprocating saw, okay? Because they didn't use a razor blade and make a nice straight cut. Oh, no. They didn't even try to. I mean, it's literally like it's almost like the victim, which is in this case is a little girl who was tricked. A victim is laid out there, and they're like, ha ha, and they get a scalpel in their hand, these doctors, these satanic devil doctors, and they just start doing this, just carving, like, I'll just carve it all up. I'll make this thing look like a freak. So, I mean, go figure. If a rich celebrity goes in and wants to have some kind of a breast augmentation, they can make a little bitty tiny slit in the belly button, and they can put everything up through where there's no scars. I mean, it looks perfect, and they've got high. But when these little kids go to get it done, do you think they do anything like that? Oh, no. They take a knife and just start cutting from side to side. I mean, it's unbelievable. So, but a large percentage of these, like I said, are girls. They trick them, and they've got their emotions, and they've got their feelings, and they've got this, and they've got that, and so they're talked into it. And then a few years later, they snap out of it, and then they're like, what was I thinking? I'm a woman. I want to look like a woman. And then they look down, and it's like, uh-oh. You're ruined. And so then they get depressed, and they go kill themselves. But that's exactly what they want. They want you either, well, first of all, they don't want you born. That's a given. That's why they push abortion so much, is they want you dead in the womb. They want these lunatic lefties and the devils, which go hand in hand. They don't want, well, they hate people because they're devils. So, they don't want you born to begin with. So, but they want to be promiscuous. Just like they did back in the biblical days. They want to have their orgies and their sex things and all that stuff and be prostitutes and do whatever they want to do. Do as thou wilt. Okay, that's the law. That's what they want. But the only bad side effect of that is, I'm pregnant. But hey, that works out too, see, because then we can murder the baby and sacrifice it to the devil. So that's what they're doing. Every time they murder one, they're having their own little personal sacrifice. Sacrificing the baby straight to Satan. What do you think God thinks about that? You're going to find out. Oh, you're going to find out. Unless you get saved. You could always change, right? I mean, you could always get on your knees and ask Jesus Christ to save you and forgive you for your filthy sins before it's too late, and mean it. But you're not going to do that, are you? No, because then you won't get to run around, and you won't get to be a dude dressed up like a girl trying to go into the women's restroom, will you? No, you won't be able to do that. And you won't be able to be a woman thinking you're a man running around either. You won't get to do that either. So, are you going to change? I don't think you will. I mean, you could. You could get saved before it's too late. That's what I would recommend. Because, we're all sinners, but, there's a difference. You're either a saved sinner or you're an unsaved sinner. The saved sinners are going to go on into the promised land, okay? The unsaved, however, well, you're going to go to hell. It was prepared for Satan and his angels. That's what it was prepared for to begin with. That's where you're going to be. I wouldn't want to be there, but that's where you're going to be. And these doctors that are butchering these children, that's where they're going to be. And these Presbyterian minister women that are pushing abortion, that's where they're going to be. You know, changing up what the Word of God says and trying to talk people into getting abortions and whole 9 yards. They're going to be there. So, anyway, that's just one of those things. But anyway, what else was I going to talk about? I have and this is not new, by the way. This stuff's been going on since biblical. These Canaanites, they were doing it way back when, worshiping Baal, sacrificing their babies, murdering babies, murdering people. And so a person has to wonder, you know, where are all these children that do get born and disappear? You know, where do all those kids go? Well, it's a whole big thing going on in here. It's all run by Satan. So anyway, I started to do a podcast last night, but we had some technical difficulties on their end. Basically the sound, they lost internet connection, and so we weren't able to complete it, but I think it's going to be pretty good. It's going to be on a lot of chemtrails. I don't know if you guys have noticed that since the government shutdown, at least around here, the skies have cleared up. There's hardly any chemtrails now. I see a few contrails. I saw one today. I saw a jet airplane flying. The contrail behind it, you know, in relation to the jet, was about 3 or 4 times as long as the jet. And as it flies, the contrail dissipates as fast as it goes. It never gets any longer. It always stays the same. That's a contrail. If you see one fly across and it leaves something all the way across for miles, that's a chemtrail. Okay? There's a big difference. And what's really funny is, you know, I've been following these, or have followed in the past. One of the guys is Monkey Works, but some others, but mainly him. You know, he talks all about airplanes and shows all of them flying around and thinks he's got it all figured out. Claims to be a Christian. Maybe he is. I don't know. I hear a lot of that, though. People are like, oh, I'm a Christian. I'm a Christian. Really? Oh, yeah, I believe in Jesus Christ. So's the devil. The devil believes in Jesus Christ. So that statement doesn't make you a saved person, okay? So, anyway, somebody mentioned chemtrails, and, of course, oh, no, there's no such thing as chemtrails. They're contrails. Well, you know, that used to be a conspiracy theory. And you would tell some people about it, and they're like, oh, that's a conspiracy theory. Well, we went a little beyond that now, don't you think? Just a little bit. I mean, we've got like so many states now banning the stuff. We've got all kinds of companies all over the place that are engaged in spraying the stuff online, admitting it. Okay, for weather modification and other uses. We don't even know what all the uses are. You know, we've got people that have tracked these pilots down and follow them to the airport and talk to them about it, and they don't want to talk about it. I mean, they're doing it. They're doing it at night now, too. A lot of people have caught on. They look up in the day, and they're complaining. So now lots of these planes are flying at night doing it. So they're doing it. They're doing it in a grid pattern right above your head. Things that planes do not normally fly. Okay, they're not flying from, like when I went to Dallas, I flew a plane from XNA to Dallas-Fort Worth. I was only on the plane for an hour. It's about an hour ride. I should have probably drove. It takes about 6 hours to drive it. Point A to point B. The plane lands, it pulls over, it refuels, more people get on it, and it goes back. It's going back and forth. That's that particular route. Okay? So now, whatever the direction is between me and them, which is like, when we flew out, we're flying west, and then it turns around, it flies right back east. But it's one trip, So how do you look up and see a grid pattern that looks like a checkered board? Okay, how do you see that? These planes are going back and forth, back and forth. I mean, it's like they're not following a normal flight path, so they have to be doing it on purpose. So, I mean, but the thing is, it's all over the place now. They're banning it left and right in all kinds of states. They're passing all kinds of laws. And the only problem with that is most of the airspace above a certain amount, like let's say above 1,000 feet, maybe 2,000, that's all controlled by the federal government. So how these guys are getting away with it is if you're sitting on the tarmac here, let's say in Arkansas, and Arkansas's banned it, well, you're not breaking any law until you get up, over 2,000 feet, then you start spraying. Well, Arkansas only has control up to 2,000 feet, see? So as long as you don't do it 2,000 feet and below, you're golden. Do anything you want. Because you haven't broken any laws. Once you get above 2,000 feet, you can stay above Arkansas, for example, and then you're in federal airspace, and Arkansas can't do a thing to you. So all these people they're waiting till they get up, of course. Why wouldn't they? So they're doing it. It's becoming well known. And I don't know. It's just so obvious of some of the stuff that's going on around here all over the earth. And people are just completely oblivious to it. And I don't understand it myself because, these same pilots that are getting paid to go do this stuff, they're having to breathe the stuff in themselves. That same stuff is falling on them and their families. So it's like, how much are they paying you? At what point does it become obviously not worth it anymore? You see what I mean? So it's like, here, spray this stuff and we'll pay you to do it. Now it's poison and it's probably going to make you sick, but go ahead and do it anyway. And here, spray a little more and it may even kill you, but go ahead and do it anyway. At some point, you would think the person doing the stuff would wake up and say, hey, what am I spraying back here? Oh, well, I'm spraying that right over my family's house. My children are down there. Maybe you should stop then. Maybe you should come forward and say, hey, this is what's going on. But they don't. It's like they don't care. So I'm not sure how that works out. Can you imagine somebody saying, here's a bottle of poison. Dump this in your family's water supply. Dump this in your kid's bottle for some money. Would you rather have the money or would you rather have your children okay? You see what I mean? So I don't understand it. And in this movie, Climate Trails, that I just watched, it's on Amazon. And one of the guys that produced it is called Flat Earth Millionaire. And he was down at the TrutherCon, and that's where I met him, and he told me about the movie. So I came back and watched it. And, they've got a lady in there. She said the plane comes over her house and sprays right over her house. And it's a small plane. And she finally got on the deal that tracks the planes, and it showed the plane, and you can get on the FFA and find out the registration number, which she did. And come to find out, it had landed at an airport about an hour away. And she actually drove over there in the middle of the night, like at 2 or 3 in the morning when this thing came in and landed. And she basically started talking to the pilots and asking them questions. And they're like, oh, we don't know anything about it. You'll have to talk to the boss. We're just doing what we're told. And that's what they were doing. They weren't flying any passengers around. These aren't passenger airplanes. So you could say, oh, it's contrails. They're just passenger airplanes. No, they're not. Lots of them are 2 guys that get out, a pilot and a co-pilot. There are no passengers, and they are literally out flying around for so many hours, then they come down and land. So it's like, what are you doing? Well, you're getting paid to fly around and spray chemicals. That's what you're doing. Anyway, so I was going to have a podcast about that with a guy who knows a whole lot more about it than I do. But like I said, we had some technical difficulties. So, but we are going to get that done, and I've got some other stuff lined up. So anyway, having said all of that, I'm going to cut this thing off a little shorter than I usually do. But I was going to, if you can see this on the screen, I'm trying out this new Stream Deck here. This is what my page looks like on Spotify. Okay, if you're looking, so that's it, Melchizedek Chronicles on Spotify. This is the one on YouTube, Melchizedek Chronicles by Kenny Williamson. And, it kind of looks a little different. And then I also have a page on Rumble, and this is what it looks like. And it's Kenny Williamson Official, if you want to check that out. Okay, so I've got 3 of those, Rumble, Spotify, YouTube. I also have a Patreon, and I'm trying to get stuff uploaded to it as well. My problem has been internet connection speed. My speed has been so slow, I just can't get anything done. But now I have Elon Musk's Starlink. So now my podcast is getting beamed up to a satellite in outer space and then beamed back down to us earthlings. Not really. No, it's going up, I guess. Well, because the dish is faced up, but it's not going to a satellite. Okay, it's bouncing probably off the firmament and right back down. So you don't even need a satellite for this. Okay, and the proof of that is in the White Alice that I did a podcast on, and I'll talk some more about that later. But they were using technology bouncing it off the firmament before satellites, which I'm using air quotes here because satellites are fake. But before the fake satellites were invented, they were doing the same thing as satellites do with giant satellite dishes. But the only problem was there's no such thing as a satellite, and there wasn't then. They didn't even claim to have satellites then, but yet they're doing the same thing, long-range communication via a satellite-looking dish. They didn't have any problem doing it. In fact, the military still don't have any problem doing it. They just cut out the middleman. There is no satellite. They just say, oh, well, we're bouncing it up and back down. What are you bouncing it off of? Oh, the atmosphere. You talk about reliable, because they've had these things in place for 100 years, or since the 40s, late 40s. So a long time they've had these things running, and they're not connected to anything. There's no satellite in outer space that they were using or claimed to be using. So how do you do that kind of communication without a satellite in outer space? I thought you needed a satellite in outer space, but come to find out you don't. You never did. So satellites are fake. Space is fake. And Starlink, it's either bouncing off the firmament or it's using airplanes, which is a pretty good theory. But I'll talk about that some other podcast. Anyway, so thanks for listening. I guess that's it. Let's see here. I guess that's it. Oh, and my music here, again, if you're listening, AI, it's mine. Don't even think about shutting it down. That's what they're doing now. They're saying, oh, your music is unlicensed. It's like, you need to provide us proof you can use it. Here's the receipt from where I bought it and everything. I'm sorry, that's no good. We don't accept receipts. So how do you prove it then? You don't accept the receipt of where I bought and paid for it and it shows the license. What do you accept? Well, you're denied. So Spotify is denying stuff because of the little few seconds of music. This one's I own. Okay, I don't need a license. I own it. So anyway, thanks again for listening. Any questions or anything, head over to itsflatbro.com or truthseekersministry.org. My email is truthseekers2012@gmail.com. Send something over. Let me know what you think. And thanks again for listening. Until we meet again, God bless you.